Hi everyone, it's John the Science Guy, and welcome once again to my friendly lab. How many of you here have ever played the game telephone? If you have, would you go ahead and give me a thumbs up under this video? Cool. Now, when you played the game of telephone, I have to ask you a question. Were you at the beginning of the chain, or were you way at the end of the chain? And when somebody said something like, are we having, I don't know, turkey for dinner, came out at the other end, do you want to go to a ball game? Like, it's not even related. Now, that won't happen with 3 or 4 people, but I was in a chain of like 50 people in my class. But what does all this prove? Well, first I want to ask you a question. When was the last time that you played the game telephone? When was the last time? Would you do me a favor? Yeah, you. Put the soda down, put the beer down. Yep, I'm talking to you. And type on your keyboard, when was the last time that you actually played the game of telephone? Did you have fun? I bet you probably didn't get the correct message, unless you were the one at the beginning of the chain. All right, I have a telephone with me in my lab. And many of you have used the telephone before. You pick it up, you say, hello. And you say goodbye, especially when those people call you. All right, but what are we talking about when we talk about the game of telephone? It's about communication. So in life, when we say something to one person, that communication gets distorted or changed. For example, you might say something very friendly to a neighbor or to another business, and suddenly it brings all these legal ramifications. Why does that happen? I think 2 things. 1, people are hypersensitive, and 2, people just don't listen. They think they hear something, and what they thought they heard is what they report. And because they're not really focusing on you, they've misinterpreted your whole message. Thus, how does the game of telephone work? Well, it starts out by a phrase that usually gets whispered into one's ear. What time are we having dinner tonight? And it goes through the chain, but then as it goes through ear to ear to ear to ear, it's already to whisper, so you have to pay attention. It's very easy to transpose one word. So one word's not a very big deal, is it? But we know if we dial a telephone number, and I was to pick up this phone, and I was to dial a phone number, even a 1-800 number, what happens if I dial just 1 digit wrong? What happens? Right now I got a dial tone, which I don't know if you guys can hear. You can hear my dial tone. And if I stay there for a while, take a couple seconds, it's actually going to change to another tone. Right? You can hear that, telling me to hang up the phone. But what happens if I dial a number that is off by 1 digit? If I dial a number that's off by 1 digit, do you know what happens? I go completely somewhere differently than where I'm supposed to go. Okay? I go completely to a totally different location. So if one word changes, that can have a drastic meaning on what's being said. Just like if one number changes when you dial a telephone number, you're going to a completely different location. If I change, like I go 1, and let's say I go 201, but let's say instead of going 201, I now go 203. What happens? I changed 1 digit. Well, 1 digit's not a big deal, right? So maybe I just go to a different street. No, you know what happens? I go to a different state. So it's really important that you understand the words and the communication. So between businesses, between lawyers, between all kinds of professional people, people are busy, I get it. But people don't have time in our world lots of times, and they jump to conclusions because what they think they heard is either offensive to them or maybe is something they didn't want to hear, but that's not really what they heard. It was something else, but they were too busy focused on something else and not on you. When you communicate, you need to communicate with one person at a time. Don't be multitasking. Thus, the game of telephone works by communication. Our mind and body listen to waveforms. Those waveforms go into our ear, go through our body, going up to our mind, and we're able to summon them. But before that happens, it actually hits the auditory canal, and that's where those sounds are actually turned into words that we can actually understand. And the mind is actually able to say, okay, gee, I understand that I can perceive what's going on. So the game of telephone works by you understanding how to communicate. So science works just like this. If we know that just one little change, whether a camera head, like an f-stop, or a number on a phone, or even one digit on a credit card, right? Could be declined, or could be somebody's totally different credit card, which we wouldn't want to do that. Thus, I want you to understand that when you play the game of telephone, or when you're in the game of life, which is what we are in every day, every little step you make can change the perception of someone else, which can directly impact your response. I've always said this to you thousands of times. It's not what happens to you in life, because things are going to happen. We can't control that. But it's how you respond to those situations every single day that determines whether you're going to be successful or a failure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am John, and I thank you so much for dropping by my lab. And the next time you make a phone call, remember, every digit, just like every word, counts. Choose your numbers and choose your words carefully, and make sure that your receiver understands every single one of them. Don't ever believe that they know what you're saying. Always have them verify it to you so you can make sure you're on the same page. I'm John, the Science Guy, and I know you love this video, so why don't you go ahead, yes you, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates, share it out to everyone you know here on YouTube. Then at the bottom of my video, click on the link just below where it says help keep our content free, and make the choice to buy my team and I a cup of coffee. We'll invest those pennies and dollars into new technology, new equipment, even new facilities to give you the most science videos and amazing experiences that could potentially change the quality of your life. I'll see you in my lab again real soon. Thanks for stopping by.